Welcome to the channel and my big honker. Honk honk. Vlog number 35 in the YYJ with the cabbie and the green machine. Hope you're all having a great day. A little late start. It's 6:42 p.m. January. I guess it's the 28th today. What day do we got here, people? Yeah, January 28th, 6:42 p.m. 2026. Hope you're all having a great day. I don't look like a tomato, do I? I've done what? 3 calls now. 3 calls since I started. Yeah. You know, the politics, let's go for a ride. Join me, shall you? The politics of the cab world is absolutely ridiculous. I'm driving for subcontracting with this major company. One of the top 3. Top 3 in Victoria are Bluebird, Yellow, and Victoria Taxi. And I think Yellow's got the most cabs, then Bluebird, and then Victoria Taxi. The green ones, that's the one I'm working with. So, years ago, I've been driving for over 10 years. 10 years driving a cab. I was about 39. I remember turning 40, driving a cab, and I just turned 50. It's been, a rocky little plane, The money was good at one time. Now it's just, you barely pay your bills. Before Uber, it was great. Now Uber's taking most of the business, and, I drive a Westwind taxi. So when they first brought in Uber, I think I mentioned this before in a vlog, that because of Westwind and West Shore, certain taxi plates, because you get issued taxi plates to the Passenger Transportation Board, and it's like $100 a plate, $100 a year to have a plate, a taxi plate. You can see them on the front of the cab. Okay, I'll show you. Hold on, I'll show you the little plate. Yeah, see that little plate? That's the little plate, the little taxi plate that they issue you. And then you got to keep the papers in your car. Each plate has certain restrictions. La-di-da-di-da. So when Uber came in, the Ministry of Transportation had this, stacks of papers and this big study. You know how government is. Is it worth it? All that kind of stuff. And one of the things they said, they were going to remove the restrictions on all taxi plates. Like, this is a Westwind car, and it was only, where am I going? Oh, I'm going to go to Walmart. Walmart it is. I'll continue this. Vlog, Cabbie Daily Vlog number 35 in the green machine with the cabbie and the YYJ. Hope you're all having a great day. I think I'm at 5 calls now. A steady start. I will give it that today. Oh, I got a call coming in. What you doing, buds? Oh, just dropped off down here by Ruth King School. So let's put some light on the situation. It's a little rainy out here today. As you can tell, I'm gonna a really rainy day in the YYJ. Well, it's not raining, but obviously you can see the ground is wet. It says 9 degrees in the car there. So 6 calls now, and it's 8:42 p.m. in the YYJ. So, yeah. So back to, so this is a Westwind car. The politics of cab driving. So, this car has restrictions. It can only be used in the West Shore area. Like, from View Royal up, I can go to Souk, Machosen, Highlands, Colwood, Langford, all the western communities. And I can pick up in Esquimalt, apparently. And, yeah, Esquimalt. And, yeah, so I've picked up in Esquimalt. They let me over the computer. But years ago, it was just like Chrysler Admirals and up, like View Royal and up, when I drove this car before. And the thing is, though, they were like, it wasn't like, this is going back 2018, 2019, because I drove for them for about 3 years, and I would be sitting down on Whale Road at 3 in the morning and barely anything on the meter. And they would bring out the Victoria cars and just like totally screw me over, and I wouldn't make any money. And I still had this lease to pay. So that's when I created the Cabby into YYJ. And then it started to slowly kick off, wrapping in the cab and whatnot. And, it blew up a little bit. I started getting busier and busier and busier. And then, it got to the point, Victoria Taxi say, you got to stop doing that or you're never going to drive our green cab again. So I said, well, screw you then. So I went and drove for a West Shore Taxi for a bit with my clientele. And I got this clientele myself. It's not like I stole the Victoria Taxi clientele. I didn't do that. I was using Google Ads and flyers and social media. The Facebook page is still there. And I got 63,000 on Instagram. I can't get into the YouTube, which is stupid. But, and then that Philip Sola guy, he did that video, which got 125,000 views in like 2 days. And it's just like stayed stagnant at this point. So, and then I had my own car, with the Cabby and the YYJ on the side. Did that for about 2 years, I guess, something like that. And this things got all stupid and some very negative things happened. I'm not going to get into that. And my life was threatened. My wife's life was threatened. My daughter's life. Some people were unalive, were murdered that used to call me for cabs and whatnot. I'm not going to say the names because I don't need cops banging on my door. I don't need the bikers banging on my door again. I don't need my life threatened. Long story short, but, people still know my stuff and, still know who I am and, the Cabby into YYJ and whatnot, And I guess really the big issue right now is I don't have a steady phone number, and it's not like the greatest phone number to remember. The 508-7700, that was easy to remember. When you're in business, you need like a catchy, easy number for people to remember. Like my number now is 250-508-0375. That's kind of hard to catch on at first, Like with West Shore Taxis, 250-478-7888. That's easy to remember. Even Victoria Taxi, 250-383-7111. Easy peasy, Same with Yellow Cab and Bluebird, 381-22-22-382. They're one number apart from each other. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is, this car, I took a call Sunday, was one of Ken, my stepdad's regulars that he's had for over 10 years. She's an older lady, probably in her 70s. And, people like people, they get attached to people that they know for a long time. They feel comfortable with certain drivers. In Victoria Taxis, no personalizing calls. Well, some people don't like calling dispatch. They don't. They find it annoying. And some people only like certain drivers because some drivers are plain jerk-offs and they don't know customer service. They don't, And I find it, if you want the same driver over... Well, I just picked up at Romeo's in West Shore. Brought them over down by Carindale there. She was bringing up the Red Lion stabbings. There was a cook that worked there and now he's a cab driver, she was saying. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I was there that night. I was a cook. I used to cook before I was a cab driver. So I was at the Red Lion. If you all put into YouTube, Red Lion stabbings, Victoria, BC, the newscast will come up and you'll see it. That was a crazy time. Like 5 people got stabbed. One guy in the stomach and stuff. I'm not going to get too descriptive, but it was pretty crazy. I called 911 and I administered the first aid and whatnot. Yeah, so back to the little politic thing, even when Uber got in to BC and Victoria, they were supposed to remove all the restrictions on all the taxi plates that had any. So Uber came in and they never did that. So this taxi plate on this Westwind car that I'm in should have had those restrictions taken off, but they never did that. So, which is absolutely ridiculous, because it's really not fair, because Uber's taking a lot of the taxi business, But the thing is, the taxi business also needs to learn to step its game up. Step up the game, develop a better app than, the hell was that? Better app than, what the heck is that? That's trippy. Better app than Uber, and a lot of people don't even like calling dispatch anymore. They don't. They just want to go click, 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 and boom, have my rating, all that kind of stuff, because Uber's like trendy, you got to change with the times. That's the thing, and the taxi business doesn't want to change with the times. It doesn't. And, me being on social media, it's kind of changing with the time. I'm doing these vlogs, showing you what it's like in a cab, doing the cab business, what and whatnot, I know Victoria Taxi, you're watching these vlogs and whatnot, and the nature of the beast, some people like their certain drivers. They do, why not let them have their own personals and stuff? You're a subcontractor, if somebody gets in off the computer and I demand them take my phone number, that's not right. But, if they say, like, I don't like calling dispatch, I don't like the other drivers, can you give me your cell phone number? There should be nothing wrong with that, because you want to keep the customer satisfied. If the driver's demanding, enforcing his number on the customers, that's not right either. Yeah, at the end of the day, we got to elevate the customer service in this business. We got to cater to the customer, and we have to, expand. Like when I worked for United Cab in Port Alberni, they had a good little thing. They did designated driver service. They had 2 cabs. One would drive somebody's car home, the other cab would follow. Then they times 2. So each driver got the same fare. So if it was like a $20 fare, they each got $20. And if they tipped on that, they shared the tip. They should offer that service and deliveries as well, because Uber does deliveries, and learning to step up the game and, offering a great service, just can't just focus on taxi driving. Got to expand the service, That's my opinion. And, have nice cars, not piece of junk. One thing I'll give you, Victoria Taxi, you're getting better cars. You get a Tesla. This is a 2024 Prius. The 2020 Prius is, that Tesla was really nice that you saw in the vlog the other day. But, going back to them nitpicking at me, because that was one of the day drivers' personals for over 10 years. And she wanted to go down to Blanchard for a church service at 4 p.m. So I drove her down there, and then when it was done, she called me, and I went down there. And they turned around and said that I was flagging, and I wasn't. And according to the license and the restrictions, it was a total legal trip. And they're trying to say that I was flagging, and I was not. So, they just want to nitpick at me because my phone number's all over the internet. People know who I am. They think I'm not even making tons of money like I used to. I'm not. I used to make a lot of money. Now, no, I used to do way better. Not a lot of money, but, now I'm just making enough to pay my bills. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So, for them to sit there and nitpick, it's stupid. Why don't you focus on your marketing? Why don't you focus on providing a better service? Why don't you focus on, I've been pretty respectful in taking your calls and not promoting myself like I used to. Before I would do Google ads, flyers, videos, just everything and anything. I'd wallpaper the city, with marketing. And I haven't done that. I've just been taking your calls pretty much. You know, the odd person call me here and there, but nothing where I'm making tons of money. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to beat Uber at its own game. You got to get nice cars. You got to cater to the customer. You know, that's the thing. If you're not going to provide good services and step up the game, you're gonna, and you got to work your social media. Social media is where it's at. That's why Uber's really good, because they got an app, they got social media going on. That's it. Vlog number 35. Gotta love, you know, the cabbie politics. Supposed to pick up here, sitting there waiting. Call the lady. Then I call her back and she's already in a cab. Really? Like, really? I'm like, well, you were supposed to get in my cab, so another one, you know, scoop my fare. You know, and you're not supposed to do that in the politic way of the cab. You know, if I did that, it would be the end of the world. You know? You wonder why, and stupid. Vlog number 35, Cabbie Daily Vlog with the Cabbie in the YYJ. Let's put some light on the situation. Thank you all for watching. Sorry to get a little politicky on you. The politics are going to ruin the cab business. It already has. You know, is what it is. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, that's the thing. Uber's Facebook page, 21 million. 21 million. What cab company has that many millions of likes and follows on Facebook? Not too many. Social media in this day and age is where it's at, even for the cab business. You wonder why the cab business is falling behind? Vlog number 35. My name is Ron, the Cabbie into YYJ. Just gonna wrap all this up now. I'll see you all tomorrow for vlog number 36. Join me tomorrow, will you? Thanks for riding with the Cabbie into YYJ.